reconstruction project.
Exactly as that said.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I spoke to, and in that, I think I reached out to you, Dan, to ask you, do you recall if there was a vote that night? I know it wasn't captured in your minutes, September or October, because Terry and I looked at it. But you said
But Pearl told me that we didn't need a vote.
But we can't go to Pearl.
So right,
So
but regardless, here's my issue. According to the way you handle that situation, anybody at any time, particularly say somebody whose entire motive is stall and disrupt, could come to the executive committee and basically complain about anything. And that would have to stop what's happening at the committee level. And that's what I object to, is that Alicia and Karen were given basically opportunity to stop something that was in process on my committee just by making an allegation. And some of those allegations were pretty serious. Not only that I had lied, but that I had gotten 3 other white guys to lie for me, okay?
4 other white guys.
4 other white guys. So, you know, that's some serious stuff. What did they get out of that serious lie, if you ask me? They got to stop at the committee the very thing that they were trying to stop. That's a tactic. And I feel like the executive committee fell for the tactic. That's what bothers me. If you send something back to the committee, it should go to the committee, but you should not stop what's happening at the committee until you get to the bottom of it. You can't stop what's happening at a committee. That's not the executive committee's role.
So you know what's going to happen? Let me just share this. That's true, because we're going to get into. Thank you for calling, because it's now 7:30. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that at 8:30.
Okay.
Talk about that at 8:30.
At 8:30?
That's the 8:30 minutes meeting.
Okay. Well, there's
There's
one other issue though that came up there that I want you to be aware of. As soon as we're going along all these technicalities, y'all never voted.
I know that. We'll
Right.
talk about that later on.
Okay.
So let me move right along. So Carmen, glad you're here, Carmen. On the first 2 items on the agenda, which I don't have in front of me, you can share with me.
Yeah.
You're gonna talk on that, right? On tomorrow, those 2.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be clear on what was going on.
Okay, these 2 gentlemen, this were already presented. The presentation was made, and before the housing committee. One of them is someone who got a notice, 71 Midwood. He replaced the windows after he withdrew his original application. So he got a notice of violation.
You got busted?
Yeah.
Oh.
He got a notice of violation for work completed without permits.
Wow.
So he came before us to get support for his new application for legalizing the work, which he's required to do. 43 Rutland Road is actually already being renovated, because I visited both sites, and 43 Rutland is closed off, and there's work already going in there. What they want to do is expand the masonry opening in the back, because they want to have high windows, basement to first floor windows, French doors, to get more light in. So that's just modifying what's already been approved. LPC had approved smaller windows and whatever, but now they want to expand it. So they came before us. They required to come before the committee, the housing or landmark if it's new construction, whatever, and get a resolution from the community board to support the work that, their application. They 71 Midwood is going before landmark on February 16th, I think. And 43 Rutland Road, which landmark actually sent an email today asking for the resolution, because they have to have it before the public hearing. Their public hearing is February 2nd. So I sent the drafts of the resolutions to Terry, so that she can send it out to the full board before tomorrow's meeting, so that you guys have a chance to read the minutes along with the resolution, and that way it will be easy, it will facilitate, or you have an understanding before you vote on it. So they're not required to present before the board, but they required to be present in case there's any questions from the community, if there's somebody opposing it. But actually they're required to notify their neighbors to the left and the right of the property and across the street that we are voting, and letting them know of the meeting, the time, the place. And if any one of their neighbors object, they can come to that meeting and object to the
You
application.
have to provide proof that they notified the neighbors?
Yeah, they sent me a
Does.
copy of the,
Alright,
yeah,
okay.
they have to write, it has to be in writing, you know, so they wrote the letter and they emailed a copy of the letter that went to the neighbor to let them know what's going on. So at this point here, the presentation would be, you know, they're gonna be downloaded, so somebody might say, well, I don't know what, you know, what does a cottage window looks like versus, you know, just a double hung door. So we'll be able to say, well, here's a picture of a cottage window, here's, you know, rather than the whole presentation, which we don't have time for that.
So is it, every time somebody renovates a window or
Landmark.
changes
Or
the window in a
landmark.
landmark community, you have to come, or only when you're changing, how do I explain it? Only when you're changing, like on Rutland, Midwood, the back, you're actually changing the size of the window.
Well,
Is that the
on
only-
Midwood, what they,
There is so much renovation going on in my neighborhood, I'm on Midwood Street, but Midwood too. And people have replaced windows right and left, but I don't, no one
Is it
came.
landmarked?
Yeah.
yeah,
No
well,
one
they
came.
they have to apply for a permit from Landmarks Preservation.
But they don't have to come before the,
If there's problems, like in this situation,
Okay, only if there's problems.
what happened was that he originally put in the application, they said to him, you have to look at the house, you know, your sister house across the
okay,
street,
gotcha, okay.
which is, you know, cause apparently each side of the street is mirrored to each other but opposite.
Yes,
So his sister house is actually down the street, he's not directly across from him.
okay.
So they told him to investigate that house because they had cottage windows. His had aluminum siding because it was replaced after
Right.
they had gotten landmark. Or during the time that it got landmark, it had aluminum siding.
Mhm.
However, the 1940 photo, the tax photo shows wood frame, so that's what he went back to, the
Okay,
wood frame,
Okay.
because the cottage window that they wanted him to install, the contractor said, we can't guarantee that work because it has stone transom and they said it's not gonna flush against the window
Wow.
and you're gonna be susceptible to water damage. So at that point, his wife got a job out of state and he decided to go, you know, to sell the house. So he said, well, I'm just gonna repair the windows that are there. But in the midst of doing the repairs, according to him, the contractor found a lot of rot, deterioration, and might have been due to the water. So he said, well then, since 1940 picture has wood frame, just go ahead and put the wood frame. In the meantime, he withdrew his application, so LPC said, well, you know, let's go see what's going on over there. And when they came, the windows were, you know, brand new. So they're like, ah!
and you can sell mysteries all.
So you,
And he's gotta put the right windows back in.
well, he doesn't have to. The windows are actually,
So confused.
you know, as his neighbors, you know, they're all saying it's beautiful, they fit perfect, and it's the same one from the 1940 photo. You know, so it's not like he just went and got this fancy, like
Yeah.
a house that somebody bought in my house. The windows are totally different from everybody on the block
Right,
because they just put new everything modern.
right.
So what do they want from us?
We have to have there's a resolution, so they come before us, they present and say, this is what happened, this is
Right.
what happened, this is why I replaced the window. Get support from his neighbors, the neighbors say, as far as we're concerned, the house was better now than it did before, the windows are beautiful, there's nothing wrong. And then we say, well, you know, and we had, Ben Edwards, because he's the president of Lefferts Manor, and he knows about this thing, actually come to the meeting and say, is this something that, you know, is rare? And he was like, no, it's done all the time. You know, the previous administration at LPC was more friendly than the current one. You know, he said people will call me and I would just go down there and expedite it, but now he doesn't know a lot of the people there. So based on his expertise and based on, you know, I went to the site myself and I drove to the house and I got out and I walked and I was like, it's not doing anything to the block, it looks just, you know, just as fine
But
as
what are we
so.
voting on? Do we have a say in it?
So the resolution is saying, you know, based on all of these facts that they presented to us, you know, Community Board 9 recommends that LPC approve the application
So
to
it's-
legalize the work that he already did.
So it's in support of?
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
What is amazing to me is that one time I was looking to change some windows, and the windows that's on my house is aluminum. They were telling me that I should change it to wood whenever I change it, because that's originally what it was.
Yeah.
So this guy changed it to wood, and they have a problem now.
Well, he changed it to wood based on the 1940 photo. The house was built in 1901. So even Landmark doesn't know what the original windows look like. So what they did was that they based it on the sister house across the street that has cottage windows. So they're like, well, if that house got cottage windows, then put cottage windows on yours so that you all match. And he's saying, well, that's not necessarily the case, because the house next to mine, that sister house doesn't have transom, and the one next to mine does. So the justification wasn't really valid, because if LPC don't have proof that there was cottage windows, and nobody else has proof, but the photo shows wood frame windows, then he just took it back to wood frame.
So that's up. So that's up tomorrow. So we're looking for a letter of support from
and
the
then
board.
the other one, again, he's just expanding the rear facade, which is, as long as it's done in the rear of the house, LPC really doesn't have an issue with it, because it's not visible to the public. So, but he just wanted to, the work that had been approved was for smaller windows, and now this time they're doing the whole big, beautiful, so they'll be able to look down at the dining room from the first floor, and it'll be like an open, those big house, rich, nice houses with the wood. And then they want to paint the trimming on the house, on the door, and the windows black. And there's like 7 other houses on the block adjacent to them that already has a black, from beige to black. So it's not really anything that I mean, if I had gone down there and be like, whoa, this is horrible, then I would be like, well, it's really not acceptable.
Did the committee vote to approve both of these, to support both of these?
All you need is a letter of
So the
support.
recommendation is that we're good to go.
You just need a letter of support and to approve
It's
the
a
resolutions?
resolution which Terry already has it. I
She
drafted
did, I
it
saw, yeah.
and sent it.
She just wants to approve it?
It's like the smoke free.
Yeah.
There's 3 resolutions that's gonna be voted tomorrow. The smoke free housing resolution, and then 71 Midwood and 43 Rutland Road. So
we should send the resolution to the full board.
Yeah, I
review
sent it to
prior
her last night so
No,
that
but,
she can.
yeah, but she didn't, I don't think she sent it to the full board.
Yeah.
So let me.
So she needs to send it out to the full board, and then the minutes will detail like the whole presentation.
But to,
But I think she already emailed the
rendering
presentation.
of 43
She
Rutland.
emailed the presentation last week for
Yeah.
43 and 71.
Yeah, 'cause I
But the
saw the
resolution she
rendering.
didn't.
But the resolution, I emailed it to her last night. The minutes she got Friday. So if you look at the minutes and the resolution, you see that the resolution is basically based on the presentation and the fact that there's really nothing, they're really not changing the character of the house. It's actually enhancing it,
right.
you know.
So you guys are recommending that we say yes?
And we,
Okay, good.
basically we just recommend, we just say to Landmark, we don't have a problem with it. The committee voted unanimously to support it, and therefore Community Board 9, is recommending that LPC approve the application. They can deny it.
Right.
We just basically, weigh it in, but they can turn around and say, no, we want the cottage window, or no, you
Right.
can't do this, or no, you can do that. But our role is just basically to look at the facts. If it's not something that's changing the character of the house, if the neighbor, now you might have people come to the meeting tomorrow that are neighbors and say no, then we have to listen to those concerns. Somebody might say no, it doesn't look the same.
So they would have to do that in public session.
Right, but that's why it's done. This is public.
Yeah,
They're
so
not
they would
gonna
have
do
to-
it if they
No.
don't like
Well,
it.
hopefully they can call.
Or they can speak onto the agenda item.
Yeah,
In
those are
business,
the
once we go in business session, correct, because we're gonna talk
Yeah.
about agenda item in public session. But if we go into the vote, we
I'm
can't
just
discuss
wondering,
it.
how much of this minutia do we really have to get into? I mean, do we have to hear a whole presentation?
No,
No, we're not.
That's why
we're
I
not seeing the
said
whole presentation.
they're not required to make the presentation to the board.
Correct.
We only gonna have the presentation there available because
Okay,
again,
I
even
got
the
you.
committee, some of them were like, I don't know what the hell a cottage window look like. What's a cottage window versus a dumpster
Well, I
window?
wouldn't know.
So it's just there, in case somebody asks a question, we'll say, well, this is a cottage window, this is something, whatever.
So maybe-
And the owners will be
Yeah.
there to answer any questions, and the neighbors can come and say, I support it, or somebody might come and say, no, I don't think it should be approved.
So then-
But,
cool.
and then the board, just vote on the resolution. If you agree that we should recommend that they approve it, you vote yes on the
That's it.
resolution
But-
if you vote no.
But how is, how are board members gonna know?
The resolution?
She sent,
The-
LPC application, application for 7143, Sea Brews of
Okay.
New York City Smoke-Free Housing, Maple Street
Mhm.
Community
Yeah.
Garden, she sent it on.
The
to
three
them.
applications.
I don't know if that's a resolution.
No, that's
No, those are the
Resolution's in there.
presentations.
Yes, that, yeah, those
Yeah,
That's in
are.
there.
Can I have the
So that's in
agenda
there.
notes
So let me move right
My
on.
notes are on the back.
Yeah, we need that back.
That's okay.
So the next topic I want to talk about is this, and I was taking on how the old chairs used to do it, and I found myself doing it, and that is once we receive applications from non-board members, usually it was just the chair would just, okay, this is the committee, want to sign off, approve it, and send it to Terry, and they'll put it on file. That's like not giving the chairs the opportunity to see who they want on their committees. And I saw that a few months, and I was like, I'm crazy for even doing that because it's not fair. It's not a dictatorship. So the next thing is any application that comes in for non-board members, Terry's going to reach out to the chairs of the committees to send you other applications for your approval, and if you want to point them to.
Well, I want to raise the issue, if I may, Mr. Chair, I don't remember protocol.
Go ahead, Clark.
There are some members of my committee, and I brought this to your attention in November, that have attended not one meeting.
Correct.
Not one. And I have asked that they be removed and replaced with any applicants that we have that are interested in the housing committee, because we do have work to do, and it doesn't make sense, based on this is 5 members that have not come to one meeting, have not responded to any communication, have not sent an email saying, excuse my, so obviously they're not interested. They were just, I don't know how they came to be on a committee.
Are
One
you
second.
asking for removal
So-
of
Yes.
You can do it
the
yourself.
board or just the committee?
Yeah, just
The
send.
committee, they're not board members. Well, one of them is a board member.
But the board members.
But the board members I can take care of.
Yeah,
But
but
the
as far as
non-board
the
members.
committee, is concerned, I brought it up to the chair that these people have come
You
to
can
no
remove
So
them
you can
meeting
send an
whatsoever.
email saying remove them right off.
I don't know how they came to be there, so I wasn't
And that's-
comfortable
and that's
saying I'm
how-
removing
and that's
you,
what I
because
just
I don't
told-
even know how they came to be
But that's
on
what I
the
was saying from the
committee.
beginning. How those came about was,
Yeah.
once we get the applications, I would say, okay, appointed to this committee, appointed to that committee. It's not me to appoint, because if you're running your committees, you would know who you want on your committee, so you are the chair. I didn't yell at you, Warren. So if you see, to all committee chairs, if you have non-board members who are not coming to your meetings, because your committees are going to be working, send an email to Terry and say remove them.
Oh,
I
so
don't-
we don't have to communicate with the person themselves, just to Terry.
Listen,
So,
if they don't come, they don't come.
Well, but the.
You want to maybe you want to send a courtesy email out to
I was
them.
gonna say, a courtesy email saying goodbye. So,
Okay.
so Carmen notifies Terry the process is, Terry then sends a note saying you're off the committee?
No.
Someone has to do
Well-
that.
Yeah, so you should send the email
No.
to Terry,
Well,
CCing me.
No, because what I will do is, because of the fact that I brought this up in November,
Mhm.
November 21st actually, I will just forward that email that I already sent,
Mhm.
because I'm not asking for the removal now. I have
They're
asked
done.
for it since November.
Mhm.
And I was assured that it will be taken care of, but every time the minutes go out and the meeting notice is the same people are on the email.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, we got projects and stuff that the housing committee want to engage with, and we need bodies, and they're not there.
If these people aren't coming, I mean, what does it matter anyway?
They haven't come to not one,
Because
so I don't
you have
feel
to
obligated to
quorum.
say
They're
anything
They're
to them.
effectively not on the committee.
Yeah,
then,
'cause they
so
never
we
But you want to make room for
Yeah.
those who may want
Oh, you
to
got a
work.
waiting list?
Well, we have a lot
Well,
of
I-
applications that come in. I think Mike was first.
I just want to say, how are they going to know? Will a note come from the chair that says you're no longer on the committee because you've missed 5 meetings?
That's right.
There needs to be a step notifying them that
So
they're no longer on the committee.
so for example, in our executive committee meeting that we had, there's 3 board members who were sending courtesy letters out for their removal because they have long, extended absences. So I think maybe the process should be for non-board members who are not attending, it should come from the chair of the committee to Terry and the full board, not the full board, Terry in the board office, and we send that a courtesy letter to email to them. You will be removed before
For non-attendance.
non-attendance of your committee. That's it.
You are removed.
You are removed, yeah.
It is.
I believe
For
there is
non-board
some-
members,
It is.
For committees.
What's this? Chair
there's
has-
gotta be a documented process for that.
But that's the process. You
There's
missed
a-
3 meetings, unexcused.
There's nothing in it.
Yeah, that
I don't
doesn't
think
matter.
there's
Well,
anything
Warren.
for.
I think there is actually.
Yeah, you missed 3
But not
meetings.
for
Here it is
non-members.
actually. It's
For
for, it's
non-
for,
for
board
non-members.
members.
that's for
Oh,
board
no,
members.
it's for both, isn't it?
No, it's not. I looked at
It's
it
only for
today.
board members.
Then how you move a committee member, a non-board member?
That's what I'm saying. It's gotta be.
That's what I just said.
Well, I mean, if the bylaw is silent about it, and this is now January, we started meeting in September, and that's 5 months worth of meeting. There's nothing, I don't think there's nothing to discuss, you're not interested. I can see if you send an email saying, excuse me, I can't come
They
to
don't even
this
answer when
meeting,
you
but there's
don't call
silence.
them.
So I actually highlighted that area too. So this is what it says, because I highlighted, because I was looking
Well,
at
what's
your
the
emails
maximum
about
number
it.
of people can be on the board?
And it says an appointed member may be removed from a committee's roles by the committee chairperson.
Okay.
For missing
Never a
3,
non-member.
exactly, for missing,
It says none, right?
no, it says appointed member.
Appointed
No,
member,
no,
we're talking
no.
about a board
I have to
member.
tell you, that
Is that what that
appointed,
means?
I think refers to board
Every-
members.
Nope, it's appointed member.
Appointed member.
It's appointed,
No,
What did
you're
the board
interpreting,
do?
I'm just telling you.
go ahead.
On the committee? What's it under?
An appointed member may be removed from a committee's roles by the committee
That's
chairperson
committee.
for missing 3 consecutive meetings
That's
of the
everybody.
committee.
It's
Or
everybody.
failure to attend
Everybody's
majority.
appointed.
I'll take that.
Everybody appointed.
That's everybody.
So you want to take as everybody?
Actually, that's what it says.
Yeah.
So then when you say appointed, oh, you know what, you're right.
Appointed to the committee.
No, it's right, correct.
Somebody appointed.
Because you know what I'm thinking about? When appointed board members, because it would say appointed board members.
Appointed to the,
Yeah, it says appointed.
So it's appointed
What's
member.
anybody?
appointed
Yeah.
member to the committee.
It says appointed committee member,
Yeah.
right?
So the rest of, yeah, correct. So missing 3 consecutive meetings
Exactly.
of the committee, or
The board
failure to
members are
attend the
not-
majority of the committee meetings
That's it.
in a period of 1 year, or other cause or whatever provided by the chairperson approves of such, provided by that board chairperson approves such removal. So
But
it
does
should
that
come from the
include,
chair.
but does that include committee, board, actually not committee,
Of
but
course,
board?
yeah.
Appointed board members and
Appointed
And
Okay.
community members.
I think
No, it's fine with
actually
me.
their
The
intent
bylaw
That's
is
how I
what it says.
understand it.
was
That's
the
how I
actual
understand
board
it.
members, but we can extend it to, because they're appointed, everyone's appointed.
Appointed to, everybody's appointed to a committee.
All right, so then
So-
that's what it is. If you have people who are on your committee that don't attend,
We
send
just
the,
have about 6, so never attend.
send the email to Terry so we can just remove
And
them
then,
off the
so
record.
we can consider it for quorum purposes, we consider
Yeah.
no longer on our
Exactly.
No,
committee.
no, no, committee.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make clear
No.
that those people are notified if they're no longer on the committee.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Of
So
course,
when the
everything.
committee
Okay.
chairs
Okay.
has a person who doesn't come to the committees, send the email to Terry.
And Terry will then
And
contact.
Terry will send the email to
Gotcha.
them, official email from the board, saying you are removed.
From the
Gotcha.
committee.
Yeah, and because you
course
missed
there-
this date.
Exactly, you will
missed
miss this date, X, Y, and Z. You miss X, Y.
But going back to her point, for quorum purposes, you have to actually replace those people almost right away.
We still have the list of applications of those who applied, non-board members.
Well, until
Not
they,
necessarily, it's just a smaller
based
quorum.
on the number of the committee,
Yeah,
on
you have to
the size of the
place it
committee.
right
which
Yeah, you're right, you don't
board
have to
members-
backfill.
Exactly,
Okay.
because when you have them on the books,
That's
and
when it
they're not
messes your
coming,
quorum.
then you can't
That's
have a
what,
quorum.
that's what messing
Well, the
up.
other thing,
If
the
you-
other
if
thing
you
is,
remove them,
but the other thing is, we still have appointed board members who are on the committee,
right.
who still come to your meeting,
You-
if they
you know,
come or not.
If you
And
remove
that's
them and
for-
then your committee now is 6,
Mhm.
and you have 4 people coming,
Then you have a
you have
quorum.
quorum.
You have quorum.
But right now, if I got
Right now,
5
we
people
can't
that
do
don't
nothing.
come, so
We don't have
when
quorum.
do I have
Yeah.
quorum?
My committee would be down to 2
Five
people.
If the committee is 9 and 5 people don't come, when would I get
I
quorum?
just,
Exactly.
No quorum for you.
No quorum for
All right,
us.
let me go on, so we can push the 8 o'clock hour.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay, so on my committee, which is getting larger by the day, I actually have the opposite problem, which is, as you probably all know, there are people who really want me off this board. And so I was forwarded an email from Alicia Boyd that said, join Tim Thomas's committee so that we can have a voice and remove him.